Welcome to the place where we learn about and learn from the leaders in our field who are powering human creativity. I am Aaron Dworkin, and this is Arts Engines. Thanks again for joining me here on Arts Engines. Today's guest is Danielle Allen, who serves as Vice President of Education and Community at the Philadelphia Orchestra. Danielle, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Aaron. So great to be here.
So I'm so excited to have you on the show. Obviously, the Philadelphia Orchestra is one of our wonderful, amazing creative partners. But not only that, in my other Sphinx hats and so on and so forth, we've been able to have many just deep and long partnerships with the orchestra, which has just been wonderful over the years. But what I thought we would do is if we could kind of start out, you're in this role leading what is education and community for the orchestra. And at a lot of different, arts institutions, I think sometimes titles may mean different things or what is incorporated. And so I was wondering if we could just start out, what falls in the purview of the Vice President of Education and Community at the Philadelphia Orchestra? And what's kind of the breadth of that impact within your portfolio?
Yes, so our department, our Education and Community Department, we manage all programs that involve education, so schools, community spaces, and we do this through our HERE initiative, health, education, access, and resources. And in terms of community, our philosophy is community first. And that community can apply to the education space, but our belief is that our programs don't serve us. They are to serve our community. So we speak to our partners in the community, our partners at our local school district, and they help inform the types of programs that we have within the Philadelphia Orchestra.
Gotcha. So, and I especially love this kind of, sense of that, we're just not projecting, we know everything kind of, right? And so working in collaboration. You mentioned across kind of these different areas. And so I'm sure that there are people, outside our field who are like, wait a minute, health for an orchestra doing
Yes.
community. So could you describe what does that work look like and why?
Oh my gosh, it's so essential to everything that we do. It really is again, I use the word philosophy a lot, but this is our approach to program development. There's no need to rehash the decades of research that exists that show the positive impacts of the arts on overall health and wellness. And so we do look at each program to see how it is impacting people's well-being, in addition to providing education, eliminating barriers to access, and providing much needed resources. Most notably, we do this through our music therapy program. We have two locations. One is Broad Street Ministry, right across the street from our concert hall. We're there with members of the Philadelphia Orchestra weekly, as well as music therapists from Temple University. And we have a second location at Project Home Sacred Heart. And that really puts our musicians in the community, working with vulnerable populations to experience the joy of music, right? But being able to apply that to difficulties that they may be existing in their lives.
Gotcha. And in terms of this, right? So there's also, I'm sure, people who are, in our audience who are saying, oh, okay, so this is something maybe, we want to touch on this. How functionally, how does that come about, right? How do you build that type of partnership? Do you look and say, okay, here's who we want to partner with and reach out to them? Or how does that actually manifest? And if you could kind of share that way, so someone watching who might want to try to replicate or emulate something similar in their community.
We try to identify first topics, issues, concerns that are important to our community. I mean, because the Philadelphia Orchestra is part of the community. So we identify the partner And it is a collaboration to say, what do you need from our orchestra? How can we be most helpful? And who else should we bring to the table, right? Because this is bona fide therapy. This is just not a fun improvisation session. People are working through real issues. I mean, addiction, homelessness. I mean, it runs the gamut. Well, I'm so sorry. So it is a very collaborative effort, and we do a lot of listening. What do you need from us? How can we meet your needs? And then on a very, sort of hands-on level, our musicians are trained by music therapists to go in and work with them to provide this therapy. So we're not just sending anyone into the sessions, we're building relationships with the people that we see from week to week.
It's absolutely awesome. And obviously see where the impact
Yes.
is created there, which is amazing. So now kind of backing out a little bit, I am sure there also is in our audience some people watching who are not yet a vice president of education and community and want to be, and or want to be on that trajectory. If you were to kind of step back and looking at someone who, in a 5-year, 5 to 10 year trajectory wants to reach that point, are there any core skill sets, top, 2 or 3 things that you're like, what, in this type of role to be successful, you need this. This is a core skill set or value or aspect that you should be working on now so that you will be competitive for this type of role down the road?
Yes, first, I think it takes a belief in the work and the value of the work to change and transform lives. That is essential. Sometimes in the space of classical music, we're seen as people that just like read the music on the page and they play it, right? We're really fortunate at the Philadelphia Orchestra that we have musicians who care about this work. So that's first and foremost. Equally as important is being involved in your local community. You don't need a Philadelphia Orchestra or a large arts organization to be involved. It helps, though, when you get to an organization of this magnitude to have already established relationships in your local community and to have that experience of working with people, meeting them where they are. That is probably of the utmost importance, because for as much as we know that we serve our community, we believe that our community pours even more into the organization that we are. So it really is just getting involved in issues that are important to you and that are important to people in your neighborhood.
Gotcha. Awesome. Awesome. And as you look forward for the balance of this year going into next summer, any kind of key aspects and or programs or things coming up that you are really, really excited for?
I'm always very excited and proud of the work that we do. It's important to us for the long view to see our orchestra reflect the city that we're in. Philadelphia is beautifully vibrant and diverse, and we want to see that reflected not only on our stage, but in our audiences, right? And so we are setting about it. I think many people know about the work that we've done with the music of Florence Price. I like to say we earned her a Grammy. And we are working to amplify the works of William Grant Still this season, which is very, very important. And that's not just happening on the main stage, but we are planning to socialize his music throughout the community in our City Your Orchestra live series. So very, very excited for that work, because we know how important it is for people to see themselves in the art in order to connect with art.
Well, and that, it's kind of doing, right? So many people are like, oh, let's talk about these issues of diversity, but here is what we're playing. Here's what we're performing. Here's what we're recording.
Yes.
And obviously, I know that makes so much of a difference. I think back to my, college time and went into a lesson and my teacher was like, you want to play music by, William Grant Still. And I was like, who?
Oh, right.
And so, and to see that and to see these explorations now, I think this really is a critical part, it seems, of the work of the orchestra and especially also your portfolio.
Absolutely, and it's intentional. We are making connections with so many other arts organizations and so many other groups represented in our community, and it is intentional to give voice to these artists, both past and living. It's important to keep the art form going. It is very much alive and thriving, and so we find ways to connect the past to the present.
That's awesome. So unfortunately, we are just about out of time, but I always like to ask of all my guests, this work, there's got to be some tough days. And especially, I think kind of in this role, there's, the challenges of how are we getting everything done, but then all the people you have to partner with and so on and so forth, both internally, externally. But on the toughest of days, for those who are also out there, especially in this administrative space in the arts, um, are there any tools or mechanisms you use when it seems like things are like really tough day?
Many of those days, I say working in the nonprofit sector is not for the faint of heart. People feel like it's so altruistic and you're having these wonderful days, but you're absolutely right. The truth of the matter is it's not always that way. For me, I lean into the opportunities that I have to go outside of our concert hall into the community or where we're able to welcome people into our space. Again, the people to people exchange is what keeps me going. It reminds me of why we do the work that we do. So when we're out here, raising funds and, trying to bring people along on our journey that sometimes don't want to come, just being honest, not everyone wants to imagine, a world where we're all kind of creating art together equitably. But on those days, it's really important for me. I might just stop by a school and talk to students and work with them. Or, I might visit an arts partner and I'll have meetings where we can kind of, be creative and think of ways that we can do something that's out of the box to reach even more people. So that's what keeps me holding on when the days are long and tough.
Danielle,
Art. I take in lots of shows. That helps tremendously.
very cool, very cool. Well, Danielle Allen, you truly are one of the arts engines who is powering human creativity in our world. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you.
Thank you for being on the show.
Wonderful. Thank you.